Once again, we continue our season previews of 2021 with the Montreal Canadiens now. Sorry, you guys were supposed to be yesterday, but then, yeah, everything else happened. So, this team is looking pretty good after being eliminated by the Philadelphia Flyers in 6 games in the first round. They had a pretty good offseason, bringing in some key acquisitions who will help out this team in the future. And really, in honesty, if everything goes right, I had them as a dark horse for a cup contender. So let's get into what can happen for the Montreal Canadiens in the 2020-2021 season from my perspective. First off, if you are new to the channel, hey, welcome, I'm glad you're here. And also, if you haven't already, please go subscribe in the description below. We've really been gaining so much subscribers lately, it's been unreal. We are 75 away from 700, and like they aren't even like fake subscribers too. Like they aren't even alt accounts. Like they're actually real people who are coming over and subscribing to the channel. Like we've been getting a lot of subs lately, and I just want to say thank you all so much for that. It means a heck of a lot to me. I'm really trying to grind on this YouTube channel. We're almost 6 teams. We're almost 10 teams away from completing this, which is kind of amazing in all honesty. I didn't think I would actually complete a playlist, but you know, it's been an incredible ride. It's been an incredible ride to enjoy with you guys. I mean, we're almost at the 1 year mark of the channel. We're gonna keep popping off on these videos, keep getting them out there as soon as possible. So yeah. And also, if you haven't already, please go check out the links in the description below, which includes my Twitter, my Instagram, my Discord, and my TikTok. Yes, I have TikTok. So yeah, if you want to go check those out as well, that would mean a heck of a lot to me. And yeah, anyways, let's get into what happened last season with the Montreal Canadiens. So last season, the Habs were like a middle of the road and I don't know type of team. 71 games played in the shortened season, 31 wins, 31 losses, 9 overtimes for 71 points. Now look at this. So Montreal at points were playing horrible this season. Montreal at points were playing good this season. Montreal at points were playing in the middle this season. They were really a middle of the road team in all honesty. They really were playing bad. They were playing good. They were playing bad. They were playing good. They never could stay the same thing for an extended period of time. Which, besides being bad, I guess. I mean, Canadiens fans may get salty there. But, you know, this team barely scraped into the top 25 in the NHL. And guess what? The pause happened, and if it weren't for the 2014 playoff format to occur, they would have missed the playoffs. But guess what they did? They came in and upset the third-seeded Pittsburgh Penguins in 4 games, which, in all honesty, I don't think anyone predicted that. I have some Montreal Canadiens fans who weren't even predicting them to beat the Penguins, and they did. And I was honestly just shocked. I was just standing there like, what just happened? And my friend who's a Penguins fan was like, trade everyone on the Penguins. And I'm like, so yeah, you know, this team played pretty well against Pittsburgh. And really, in all honesty, they played well against Philadelphia, too. They lost to Philadelphia in 6 games. And really, in all honesty, that was a goaltending series. I think anyone could say that alone. Carey Price and Carter Hart were really the ones who carried the Flyers through the Canadiens. The Canadiens were a hard-hitting team. They were pushing the Flyers around a lot. The Flyers' offense really couldn't do much with Carey Price and the Montreal Canadiens' scary defense. That's probably the reason why we lost in the playoffs. But that's a story for another time. So, you know, this team looking pretty good on the defensive front. And they got eliminated in 6 games. And it really wasn't their fault, in all honesty. You could blame the Niskanen suspension on it. That's definitely possible. You could blame a few other things on it. That's definitely possible as well. But, you know, this team still looks pretty good nonetheless, despite losing to Philadelphia in 6 games there. On to their key departures now. Who were the key guys that really left? Max Domi was the big one. Traded away for Josh Anderson. Domi was, like, in trade rumors a lot. The fans loved Domi. Domi wasn't, like, playing the way that the Habs wanted them to play. And then, like, you know, they would get disappointed in his play. And then eventually they just said, you know what? No, you don't be on a team anymore. And they traded him off to Columbus for Josh Anderson, which, looking back on it now, was probably a win-win for both teams, depending on how Anderson and Domi affect the teams that they were traded to. So that's an interesting thing there. And they also lost Carl Alsner as well, who had a few good seasons in Montreal, but last season wasn't the best. And, you know, really was, in all honesty, time to go for him. So they really didn't lose that many players on the key departures list, and really the only one that I see hurting them in some aspect is Max Domi. but I'm not even sure if that will hurt them as well. But like, well, it will hurt them in a way, but not in a way like offensively, because their key arrivals and the guys that they already have on the team are going to put up the goals for the Montreal this season. So the key arrivals for the Montreal Canadiens consist of about 5 players, and I mean, there's so much other guys that were added to this team in the past few years that really, honestly, I think I forget, I can't think of his name right now, but the Canadiens GM, I want to say Claude Julien, but that's their coach. The Canadiens GM, he's done a really good job. I mean, people get criticized over his moves, kind of like Jim Benning, but he's still done pretty good as a GM in Montreal, and I think, people don't give him the recognition he deserves. In all honesty, he's done some bad moves. I will definitely admit that, but he hasn't been doing too bad this offseason. So they got Josh Anderson in the trade via Montreal, who, if he does pretty well, he's a big monster and a juggernaut on the ice. He really will score. He really will put up the goals for Montreal, but if he can stay healthy. Tyler Foley was another guy who was acquired. He's kind of like referable to Taylor Hall. He will definitely put up the offense there in Montreal, and I think the reason why they opted out on Taylor Hall was to go out and sign Toffoli, because Toffoli is, I think, a much better player and he fits more in Montreal. Joel Edmondson as well, they signed him. Or no, sorry, they traded him for Montreal and then signed him to a 4-year contract. Another solid defenseman on your team there. Their defense is very deep. And then you have someone who is moving up in the prospect list, who isn't really gonna, who isn't literally a key acquisition, but like, he's coming to the team this season. Alexander Romanov, who will really who will really help with the defense and the offensive side of the game in Montreal there. So that offense looks great, and you know what? This is the biggest one of all. I say this is the biggest one of all. They finally got a backup goaltender. They acquired Jake Allen from a trade with the St. Louis Blues, and I look at this. It's a good deal. It was such a good deal. This is probably the biggest acquisition that they got this whole offseason. You could argue that's Foley. You could argue that's Edmondson. You could argue that's Romanov or Anderson. You could argue whoever. I think it's Jake Allen that the biggest acquisition was. They finally got the backup goaltender they've been wanting for so long. And it's unbelievable, and it's just so good to see them finally get their goaltending problem sorted out. Anyways, now we move on to our offensive projected lineup. So left wing side there you have Thomas Tatar, Tyler Toffoli, Jonathan Drouin, and Paul Byron. On the center core you have Philip Denault, Nick Suzuki, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Ryan Poehling. On the right wing side there you have Gallagher, Josh Anderson, Joel Armia, and Arturi Lehkonen. Now look, that offense looks pretty good. Tatar, Denault, and Gallagher. I could see every player on the second line pushing for first line minutes. I could see Toffoli being first line. I could see Suzuki being first line. I could see Anderson being first line as well. This team's looking pretty good on that asset. And Gallagher, Denault, and Tatar isn't really that bad of a first line either. Although I do think Tatar may find his way out of Montreal next season, but that's a story for another time. Jonathan Drouin, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Joel Armia. Yes, I say Kotkaniemi like that. That line is very good as well, very physical. Kotkaniemi's played pretty physical at times. And then that fourth line there, Paul Byron, Ryan Poehling, and Arturi Lehkonen, is looking very good as well. So the offense looks very stacked in Montreal. You could say differently because I'm not a Montreal Canadiens fan. But the top 6 for Montreal looks great, and the bottom 6 doesn't look too bad either. So I look at this and I say, this is a pretty good team. And they're going to be fun to watch this offseason, especially with their new acquisitions. And then there's the defense. So your defense consists of, on the left D side here, Sherratt, Edmondson, and Mete. On the right D side, you have Weber, Petrie, and Romanov. So I look at that defense. It's deep. Sherratt and Weber are already very good defensemen. Edmondson and Petrie. Petrie has showed at times where he's like a pretty good defenseman. And Edmondson didn't really fit out in Carolina. I hope he does in Montreal. And then Victor Mete, who played good at times this season. And then Alexander Romanov, who is looking like that offensive, defensive, two-way monster. So I'd be looking forward to the defense as well if you are a Montreal Canadiens fan, because I look at both sides and they look pretty deep. And I'm not even counting in the fill-in and the depth players as well. So, this team looks pretty good on that asset, and I think that they're gonna be a dangerous team to watch in some of their ways this offseason. Now there's the goaltending, which I'm actually really excited to watch next season. So on the goaltending there, you have Carey Price, Jake Allen, and Kaden Primo. So Carey Price, another great starter. I will admit he does get overrated at times, but he's still a great goaltender. Everyone says he gets overrated. I honestly agree in a few ways, but he is still a great goaltender nonetheless. And then you got Jake Allen, who played well in the playoffs. If I guess that's a plus. I mean, Allen hasn't really done much for the Blues the past 2 years because of Jordan Binnington just vibing in that starting goaltender role. And in all honesty, I think he will do much better in Montreal, and he may even be an option for Seattle in the draft. In all honesty, that could be the part of the reason why they got Jake Allen. And then there's Kaden Primo, who is projected to be a starter. Primo does need some time to develop in the AHL, but I think with some time he will become actually a pretty good backup, and maybe when Price, hangs up the skates, he can become a pretty good starter to fly in there for Montreal. So, the goaltending looks great, the defense looks great, the offense looks great. I'm very excited to watch this team in the coming years. It's going to be pretty fun, and really in honesty, when I said that they're a dark horse, I honestly mean it. So now we are on to the playoff prediction. Do I think the Montreal Canadiens will make the 2021 Stanley Cup playoffs? Honestly, I'd say yes. People would say no because of the Canadian division, how crazy how crazy tight that is. And you also have, all those other teams like Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Toronto, Vancouver, like all those stacked other teams that are in there. And I think that Montreal will definitely make it, or at least they'll push for it, definitely. But it's going to be interesting to see where they'll finish. I don't expect them finishing first unless if they get off to a really good start at the beginning of the season, which really, in honesty, looks kind of realistic. I mean, some of these guys do need some time to get used to who they're playing with, like Josh Anderson and Tyler Foley need to get used to that. And then you got Edmondson and Romanov adding to that lineup as well. So, this team has a lot of new acquisitions. They got to get used to playing. The playoffs is definitely possible, but I'm not too sure where they'll finish in that area in the playoffs. But yeah, I think they are definitely a dark horse for the Stanley Cup right now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please go make sure you like, hit the subscribe button as we're trying to get to 700 subscribers by June of 2021. Been really popping off. We're 75 away from that mark. So yeah, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.